Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to discuss your 7 primary chakras. Specifically, we'll go in depth about what they are, who they are, and how they correspond to the zodiac, and so much more. Simply stated, your chakras are metaphysical energy nodes within your body. The 7 primary chakras trace directly through your center line, technically the mid-sagittal plane. Now, unfolding this fractal reveals them to be one and the same, with a multitude of varying physical and metaphysical concepts, deities, and personifications of some order of magnitude or degree within all spiritual systems. Just to name a few, from the primary point of view of light, they correspond with visible light, that being the 7 colors of the rainbow. This directly correlates to the sun god's 7 horses in the Rig Veda, and also to the Saptarishis, or 7 sages, who were born from the mind of Brahma. In ancient Sumer, they were the Ajiji, or the Watchers, and later were replaced by the Anunnaki, who were originally 7 in number. Fast forward to Judeo-Christianity, and your chakras unfold into many spiritual motifs, to include the seraphim, the 7 archangels, the Elohim, the 7 candelabra menorah, the 7 churches, the 7 lamps, and the 7-eyed stone set from Joshua in the book of Zechariah, and the 7-eyed, 7-horned lamb, the book of Revelation. To the Gnostics, the god Serapis was a metaphysical embodiment of the chakras, and the priests of Serapis wore a 7-rayed star tied to a bandana on their forehead over their pineal. Simultaneously, a negative inversion is found within the 7 archons, who are duty-bound to keep the souls of men trapped on earth. One of the oldest versions come from ancient Egypt. They were the 7 artificers, who were dwarves born in front of the Great Pyramid, and with their knives gouged out holes in space, which is a fairly obvious allegory for the 7 classic planets, or luminaries as they were called in the past. They also reflect a fractal of the 7 sacred psychotropic oils and unguents the Egyptians collectively called the Eye of Horus. From the abstract point of view of the measurement of time, the chakras or planets are reflected in the reckoning of the days of the 7-day week. Now, in Buddhism, which is a religion exclusively dedicated to the mind, the 7 are reflected in the 7 factors of awakening. In Zoroastrianism, they reflect the Savior, known as the Seoshant, and his 6 helpers who bring about the grand renovation. But they also fractally reflect within the mundane world. You'll find them as the 7 liberal arts of ancient Greece, then in the educational division of the trivium and the quadrivium of the ancient Romans, and you'll also find them in music, where they are fractally reflected in the diatonic scale with its 7 notes. So these are just a few of the fractal unfoldments of the 7 energy nodes. Now let's take a closer look at some threefold concepts within our 7-fold chakra system. So straight down the midline of your body is the first fractal unfoldment of balance, which gives your body symmetry east and west. Now, the next fractal of unfoldment of balance is the middle chakra unfolding north to south into a septenary, with the balance points being the 1st, 4th, and 7th chakras, which is the beginning, middle, and end. Now, this is significant because 147 is the very first cyclic permutation of the solfeggio frequencies. Notice that the chakra system is centered on your heart. As such, chakras 1, 4, and 7 are collectively the first fractal unfoldment of the earth. Notice that the words earth and heart are anagrams of one another, and in actuality, cyclic permutations in word form. Now unfold and expand the fractal from your heart out to the zodiac, and you'll find a direct correspondence with the triplicity of earth and their rulers. In other words, from this point of view, Saturn rules cardinal earth and your root chakra. Mercury rules mutable earth and your heart chakra. And Venus rules fixed earth and your crown chakra. The reason that I'm stressing the importance of balance and harmony is because at the most fundamental level, the process of ascension is all about balance and harmony. It's also called centering yourself, or grounding, or being still. But simply stated, it means finding peace within yourself and also finding peace with the world. Now, from all the previous points of view discussed, we are in balance. However, from a three-dimensional geometric point of view, our Earth triangle is still out of balance. In other words, a triangle cannot stand on one corner. It must rest on its base. So to attain balance within this degree of the fractal, the first thing you must do is lay your cornerstone. Now that you've laid your cornerstone from a geometric point of view, you have completed your circuit from electromagnetic point of view. In other words, you have grounded yourself. You have stabilized your form. Or from the chromatic point of view, you have mixed your green and red to make brown, which is the color of the ground, the color of stability, a neutral color which rests on your Capricornian knee, ruled by cardinal Earth. So from many points of view, you are now grounded. This action not only grounded you, but you also attained perfect balance. As your center line extends from 90-degree angles, the squaring degree, up to the apex of the pyramid. Furthermore, you know that you are straight and true because you're in alignment with the cycle known as the Great Year, beginning at Aquarius in the east and squaring with Taurus in the north. You are perfectly oriented in these multiple facets within the fractal. So here you are, grounded, centered, and balanced inside of your 12-fold triplicities and quadruplicities. Notice that your center line is also 12, as 1 plus 4 plus 7 equals 12. You are in perfect balance, centered, grounded. Now let's look at your harmony. This astronomical overlay proves that inside of the Great Year alignment, you exhibit the triplicity of Mercury, which exalts in Aquarius directly due east and rules both Gemini and Virgo. And if you combine all these fractal overlays, you'll see that you contain within yourself the cross of Thoth or Hermes, the thrice great one. Of all your various alignments, this is your most perfect alignment. Your triangle or 3 is balanced in your cross or 4, which are both balanced in your chakras or 7, all balanced in the zodiac or 12, because all of these fractal sequences are aligned and enfolded into one another. Now let's add one more overlay. Notice that your earth triplicity and your fixed cross quadruplicity are both aligned directly due north over your head, the heaved up place, ruled by the heavenly cow, Taurus. It is this sacred white Kamadhenu cow of plenty, the wish-fulfilling cow, and mother of all earthly cows in Hinduism. It is the Native American prophecy of the great white buffalo, which has the 4 ages within her. It is also the Egyptian goddess Hathor as the sacred white cow, and also the goddess Hissat, the sacred cow that provides milk for humanity. It is also the sacred Nevis bull, the sacred Apis bull at the apex. And by extension, it's also the god Serapis, which is a syncretization of Osiris, which is Orion located in Taurus, and the Apis bull. And there are many more. Now keep all of these fractal unfoldments in mind as we unfold and nest you within even more fractal point of views. Here you sit aligned inside of a dodecagram with the unfolded petals of the zodiac. Now, whether you understand it yet or not, you're living in a hypercube, and the point is to obtain balance within this moving geometry of the universe. Notice that your Earth triplicity corresponds with the solfeggio frequencies of 174, 528, and 963. Now, combining the zodiacal point of view, frequency point of view, and musical point of view, your right hand points to Virgo, mutable Earth, which is the cornerstone you laid earlier, which corresponds with 174, which is the first solfeggio frequency, and the key of F. And in itself, a mirroring cyclic permutation of your balanced chakras. So circulating clockwise, otherwise known as right-hand circular polarization, around the 12 music intervals, you'll reach the apex at Taurus, fixed Earth, and at the distance of a perfect fifth. Remember that Taurus is ruled by Venus, who is the goddess of love and music, and in perfect synchronicity, you'll find the key of C at 528 hertz, which is the universal frequency of love. And continuing clockwise around the circle, you'll reach your Capricornian cardinal earth root stone, your left hand pointing to at 963. And all of this is radiating out of your heart at all times of your life. So you can see that this completes the cycle, as continuing clockwise would result in repeating the sequences of 174, 258, and finally 369, which should be recognized as Tesla's magnificent key to the universe. And speaking of this magnificent key, reduce the root of your prime triple harmonic and you'll also get 369. And moreover, each successive tritone reduces to the root of 369. And the space between the frequencies equate to 111 hertz. An example, 174 plus 111 equals 285. 285 plus 111 equals 396, and so on and so forth. So this background interval is in the key of A at the second octave. And here's a good place to note that at the fourth octave, you'll find that magical resonating A at 432 hertz, but also in the range of 440 to 444 hertz. The important thing to note is that our background frequency is in the key of A, which is the Aum, A-U-M, of the universe. The A, the U, and the M are right there embedded within the geometric fabric of the universe. In other words, you are the fractal and you are in the fractal. You are the tetractys, the tetragrammaton, and the tetramorph all at one time, and you just bear your own cross. You are the holy dove bearing the message of love, and it pours forth from your virgin breast. Now, if we reduce these cycles, you'll see that they all circumambulate in 369, with the operative root being 3. Even your balanced chakras reduced to 3, as 1 plus 4 plus 7 equals 12, and 1 plus 2 equals root 3. Now, from this viewpoint, notice that your cross is in alignment with the number 666, dun dun dun, which unfortunately was encoded as the number of the beast or man or the Antichrist by early Orthodox Christianity, but fortunately was encoded as the number of the instructor by early heterodox Christianity, aka the Gnostics. And this is simply because it instructs you into the nature of the fractal. And all of these triple harmonics reduce to 9, which is the number of your ever-moving mind, the black cube from the geometric point of view. You see, ladies and gentlemen, you exist in the mind of God. And from your geometric form, you can begin to visually express your balanced geometric components, commonly called the Platonic solids, and their higher moving orders of magnitude. In other words, you can physically visualize having mentally obtained vector equilibrium and can now see beyond the mundane world while simultaneously living in it. You know the pattern because you are the pattern. You know the logoi because you are the logoi. You know the word because you are the word. You know the light because you are the light. And the fractal of light goes on forever. You are forever. You are in the form of circular music notation. Remember, the key of C is at your apex with the Apis bull, Taurus, resonating at 528 hertz. And a simple transposition to linearity shows you the interconnectedness of your head and heart, as C is the only scale with no sharps or flats. In other words, the perfect scale with intervals of ho ho half, ho 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 half. The half intervals syncretizing with your head and heart, being C and F. Now you could quite literally unfold this fractal forever, but at this point, I think we've accomplished the goal of stressing the importance of attaining balance and harmony. Now, conversely, if you fail to obtain balance and harmony, then ultimately you are setting the conditions for your own personal hell and as a collective hell on earth. So let's take a dark turn into a fractal of hell. Top left silhouette is a profile view of you. The middle silhouette is a sitting picture of you. And the right silhouette is a standing picture view of you. Now, the first chakra, Capricorn, cardinal Earth, is exalted by Mars, the planet of war. And as the old saying goes, war is hell. And while Mars exalts in Capricorn, Saturn rules Capricorn, cardinal Earth. And just as the Christians told you, Satan rules this earth. Saturn, as the bringer of death, also rules your skull and bones, and the nebula known as the cosmic bat. Now, Saturn is the Christian Satan, the Egyptian Set, and the Muslim Sut, the demon of lies. The lying Satanist rules your seat, where you sit and take a. The sodomizer lives in your root, and it's full of soot. And old Saturn, the planet of business, does it all wearing a suit in order to subtly sell you that personal hell. But did you know Saturn or Satan or Set or Soot is also fractally reflected in your feet or foot, which is the Sod's house of joy. And your foot has a soul and a heel, which is a fractal reflection of your soul in hell, or Sheol, which reflecting back is a real shithole. And from this unholy hell stems your tail. Next hell is concealed within your heart. She is ruled by Virgo, the virgin, mutable earth. She is your own personal virgin mother and should live on virgin soil, which means keeping your heart pure and clean. And the virgin is ruled by Mercury, the magician. Now, if you fail to guard her purity, she will inevitably invert and turn green with envy and greed. And this green-skinned wicked witch's particular hell is the cauldron, which is the same pitch-black pot used for her putrid potions. This version of her cold black heart has failed to rule herself because she's too busy trying to rule others. Tell me, what good does it do to rule the world for a sliver of time within eternity, just to lose your very soul in the process? The goal is to learn to rule yourself. Now, our final point of balance is your seventh chakra, which rules your higher mind. This chakra equates to Taurus, the fixed earth sign. The bull is exalted by the moon, ruler of your mind, known as the Egyptian men and to the Babylonians as sin, which was depersonified when it was transposed into Christianity as the concept of sin. And as you know, all sin stems from selfishness. I say again, all sin stems from selfishness. Now, a person who lives in their lower mind is ruled by their cerebellum or Ceres bull, which is ruled by Venus or Ceres, who rules Taurus, the bullum. In other words, living in your lower mind is living in selfishness, in particular, unbridled lust. Lusting for sex, lusting for wealth, lusting for material possessions, even something as seemingly benign as lusting for more life. And to lust means that you're horny, and your horns are threefold in this hell, between the horns of the moon, the crescent horns of Venus, and the horns of Taurus. The host of this violet chakra and violent hell called Tartarus. This moon Taurus, or mind Taurus, or Minotaurus, is forever lost in that cold, dark labyrinth of your lower mind. This hateful hell is also known as Hades, and from the Zodiacal point of view, it hosts the Hyades, or seven nymphomaniacs found in the sign of Taurus. Now, a final fractal I would like you to consider is that Lucifer, the lusty Venus, is right there in lockstep with Satan or Saturn. In this top left profile view of the cosmic man, you can see how Venus manifests in her triplicity. She rules Taurus, where the moon is exalted, and Libra, which rules your bottom, where Saturn is exalted. And finally, Venus is exalted in Pisces, which rules your feet, where Saturn is in his house of joy. So what does all of this mean? At the most fundamental level, it means as above, so below, as within, so without. You are a fractal of the heavens. And if you wish to go there, you must guard your garden, which is your heart. You must mind your mind. In other words, you must protect yourself from the unholy trinity of the bully, the belly, and the billy. Now you have a choice. You can choose to have hell, or you can choose to be good and send your soul soaring to the heavens. Everyone has the freedom to make their own choice, and that choice is yours. My God, look at all those magnificent stars. There are many more hells to explore. Here are just a few more that you can unfold and expand. In this Hindu version on the right, you can see Vishnu Purusha. The universe within him is unfolded and divided into three planes of existence, with Earth in the middle, dividing the seven heavens above and seven hells below. And the library of Hindu literature is full of many different hells. Some texts mention four hells, others mention seven hells. The Manusmriti mentions 21 hells, which is 7 times 3, and a great many more describe 28 hells, which is 7 times 4. Pay attention to the pattern that unfolds. And if you think there are a lot of Hindu hells, then you should look at the cosmology and Jainism on the left. Their teachings unfold 7 layers of hell, each having 7 levels, and each of those divided into multiple hells for a total of 49 stories with 8,400,000 hells, which is 1,200,000 times 7. So when it comes to hell, the Jains win the game of unfolding the fractal the furthest. Also worth mentioning is that 8,400,000 is a number of different material embodiments of the Supersoul or Paramatman in Vaishnavism. So whether you recognize only one version of hell, such as the Christian lake of fire, or 8 million hells, the truth is that there is an infinitude of never-ending realms of hell. But for that matter, there are also eternal heavens. So now that I've drug you through hell, center yourself and let me show you a path to heaven. A look at our solar system reveals that your chakras correspond with the planets. Here you can see the Ptolemaic model, which aligned the planets by their sidereal orbital period, with the moon being the shortest orbit of 28 days and Saturn being the longest orbital period of 10,747 days. Now, instantly, you should recognize that 28 is one of the very rare perfect numbers. And of particular interest, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 chakras equals 28. Now, these numbers and more elucidate to the underpinnings of the sevenfold motif, as well as other harmonic fractals from the mathematical point of view. However, as we progress through the planets, focus on the number 4, which is the number of foundation. Notice that the moon's sidereal orbital period is the perfect number 28 days, or 4 sevens, and adding 1 through 7 equals 28. Moreover, the septenary numerical pairings are fourfold, with 0 plus 7 equals 7, 1 plus 6 equals 7, 2 plus 5 equals 7, and fourthly, 3 plus 4 equals 7. So the number pairings of 3 and 4 are the fulcrum of the central point of balance, and 3 and 4 define the circle and square. Notice that your two central pairings are also conflations of perfect squares, as 1 and 6 or 16 equals 4 square, and 2 and 5, 25 equals 5 square. And if you can understand this simple zodiacal example of the circle and square, then you should be able to understand this more elaborate version of the exact same motif. Mercury is in your right hand, the all-seeing eye, the triangle. Odin, the single eye. Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus. Nabu, the god of the writing table. And he is the holder of the emerald tablet, your very heart. Now, Mercury has a maximum elongation of 28 degrees, the perfect number, from the Sun. It also has an orbital period of 88 days, which is 44 plus 44. And it shouldn't go unnoticed that 528 hertz, being the frequency of love, is 44 times 12, or rather 44 times 4 plus 44 times 4 plus 44 times 4, with 3 sets of 44 times 4. Venus's orbital period is approximately 224 days, or 4 times 28 plus 28, or 4 plus 4 times 7 plus 4 times 7. Now, of particular interest, Venus has an orbital resonance with Earth at a ratio of 13 to 8, which are sequential Fibonacci numbers. This means that every 8 Earth orbits, or 4 plus 4 Earth orbits, Venus and Earth have 5 conjunctions which are offset by 144 degrees, yet another magical number, and which geocentrically draws a pentagram in the heavens. This pattern is known as the Rose of Venus. Now, if you're looking for something to anchor your faith in, Venus is as good of a place as any. For you see, true faith is not a blind acceptance of the dogmatic fantasies of men. True faith is a detailed, keen, sober, open-eyed, hyper-focused observation of the world and its inherent patterns. And patterns imply order, which logically means the universe is not a random chaotic accident like so many shallow-minded fools would attempt to convince you to believe. An order implies laws, and ultimately a conscious agent behind the laws. So the next logical question is, who ordered it? Who made the laws? The solar year has 365.25 days, with every fourth year being a leap year. But it's also the fourth orb centered between the moon, your first chakra, and Saturn, your seventh chakra. Moreover, 365 has 4 factors, and they total to a sum of 444. And the sun circles the equator at 16 degrees above and 16 degrees below the equator, or 4 times 4 degrees above and below, or 4 square degrees above and below the equator. Now we've reached a big reveal within this Ptolemaic configuration, so pay attention. The sun, centered on your heart chakra, is responsible for visible light. And the center of balance of that visible light sits squarely at the frequency of 528 hertz, right in the color green of the electromagnetic spectrum. And here you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The prime reason why 528 hertz is known as the frequency of love, because it is the balanced light centered in your heart. Even further, in terms of time, 528 seconds equals 8 minutes and 48 seconds. And the sun's light takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds to reach Earth, a difference of 28 seconds, the perfect number. And also, the rotational period of the sun at its equator is 28 days. Mars has a sidereal orbit of 686 days, which is 7 times 2 times 7 squared, or 7 plus 7 times 7 times 7. Now, most of the time, Mars is equated with its aspects as the planet of war. However, Mars is the lesser benefic, and his positive attributes can be best seen in his fractal personifications as the Greek Eros and the Roman Cupid, who is the son of Mars. Now, Mars rules both Aries and Scorpio, and it takes Mars 400 days to travel from Aries to Scorpio, which is the sign that rules your genitalia. And as the erotic god Eros, he was dedicated the fourth of every month as his sacred day, which 4 times 12 months equals 48. In other words, 4 square plus 4 square plus 4 square. Now, more specifically, Cupid is Mars upon the great year alignment, which begins in Aquarius. And the Aquarian sun god is Apollo, whose name is an etymological cognate with the word apple, that delicious, perfectly quartered fruit being a fractal of your very heart, and also negatively expressed as Eros's apple of discord and the forbidden fruit in your garden. And in this configuration, notice that Mars is located over your throat chakra or Adam's apple. Now, Cupid is often featured riding a dolphin, which is a symbol of Apollo, while other iconography depicts Cupid sleeping on a lion skin, which Leo the lion is the 180-degree oppositional sign, descending due west or going to sleep. And Cupid is associated with Valentine's Day, which is in Aquarius. Cupid features prominently in the tragic love affairs of Apollo, and this fractal goes much further. Now, Jupiter, the king planet, has a sidereal period of 4,332 days, which is an obvious extrapolation of the sacred number 432. Now, Jupiter's metal is tin, and tin naturally looks like lightning growing in the ground. So maybe you can now understand why Jupiter Zeus, the king of the gods, wields the lightning. But the more important, subtle message of lightning is that it always seeks the path of least resistance to be grounded. And I seem to remember another, younger incarnation of the king telling you in no uncertain terms to guard that sacred fruit buried in your chest. After long ado, we reach old man Saturn, Father Time or Kronos, who has a sidereal orbital period of 10,474 days, 28 years. Now it takes old man time 24,255 years to revolve around the zodiac, which is a near perfect intercalation with the sidereal great year. So he is certainly the keeper of time. He is also known as the blind god because he is the farthest from the sun's light, and by default the deaf god as well. And for the same reasons, he is also depicted as an old cripple, usually with a withered leg or arm. Read your scriptures, and when you find these characters, you have found Saturn. But don't let Saturn fool you, because he has a good side as well. For old Saturn, Set, Soot, the serpent, is also the Ouroboros, or the rainbow serpent, who eats his own tail upon completion of the cycle, which ushers in the Saturnian Satya Yuga, or the Golden Age, or the Christ Age, Christ being a Greek word meaning gold. And did you know that scientifically, empirical, measurable, testable, and repeatable, he resonates at 528 hertz? And it shouldn't go unnoticed that Hinduism's 28 hells correspond with the moon's orbital period, and Jain's 8,400,000 hells fractally correspond with Saturn's orbital period. In other words, 8,400,000 divided by 28 equals 300,000, and 300,000 divided by 28 equals 10,714.28, which is a very close approximation to the orbital period of Saturn. Now, the ancients used to say that what Saturn takes away, the moon gives in return. And conversely, what the moon takes away, Saturn gives back. Looking at this diagram, you can understand this ancient wisdom as Saturn and the moon are the diodes of both the solar system, as above, and your chakras, so below, which reveals this metaphysical circuit. Now, we have gone over a great deal of fractal information, and you may be saying to yourself, Self, I was always told that Venus rules your throat chakra and Mercury rules the ajna or third eye chakra. Well, you would be correct because everything up to this slide was preliminary information, and now we can begin to make our adjustments. And the first adjustment is the biggest. So just like the diode, just as the zodiac is a mirror image in the sky, this is also true for your chakras. So step one is to invert them. And here your fundamental chakra alignment is revealed, from Saturn ruling your seat to the moon ruling your mind, and Venus is over the throat, Mercury over your third eye. The ancient Hindus and Egyptians knew this very well, and both cultures are replete with plenty of references to being a mind-born sun. And just one example from Hinduism, the Saptarishis, or seven sages, were the mind-born sons of Brahma, the supreme creator. And the ancient Egyptians deeply explored this fractal. Specifically, if you completed the circuit within yourself, you were recognized as being born again from the ancient moon god Men, and you became a mind-born son or a Menamos. And when the younger moon god from Thebes named Yah or Yahweh or Yahweh was entered into the pantheon as the child of men. If you completed the process of ascension and activated your chakras, you became a Yah Moses, or born of Yahweh, or simply Moses for short, because pious Jews don't dare speak the true name of their moon god. Very famous 18th dynasty also recognized this process from the point of view of your sixth chakra, which is your third eye, ruled by Mercury, or in their culture, Thoth. And thus, completing this process, you would be recognized as being thought-born, or a Tutmosis. And if you were recognized as being born from your heart, you'd become a Moses. And here you can see that your thousand petals are a static rendition of a toroid field from the transverse view or top-down view. Lest we forget, your heart is the apple. And if you were recognized as being born of your soul, you'd become a Ra Moses, better known as Ramses. In other words, these ancient wise men understood that you could actually be born again, for this is the true meaning of it. Complete the process, and you'll become a mind-born son. You'll become an ascended master. You'll become a great soul. You'll become a Moses. So I want you to pay attention to your third and fourth chakras because there are some final adjustments that need to be accounted for. And here you have the classic chakra alignment. But what happened? Why did the Earth replace the Sun in the fourth chakra, and in turn the Sun replaced Mars in the third chakra? Where did Mars go? Well, this realignment has to do with a number of factors. Overall, it has to do with the limited space of depicting 8 planetary symbols within a 7-bodied system, and somebody has to be the odd man out. But more specifically, it has to do with their relationships with one another. A simple way to understand this is that both the Earth and the Sun are equally appropriate to depict as the fourth chakra, the Anahata chakra, your central balanced chakra. They both share a fractal relationship that gives equally compelling reasons. You can even overlay their symbols, and you wouldn't be able to see the symbol of the sun because both symbols merge. However, sometime in antiquity, wise men carefully studied the fractal and deemed it more appropriate to give the earth symbol rulership over your heart. And likewise, it was deemed more important for the sun to be depicted rather than Mars. So the sun symbol took precedence over Mars. But rest assured, Mars is still right there in the third chakra, just as it was before. Let me show you. Now, if you expand your viewpoint from your chakras out to the zodiac, notice that your heart chakra is a fractal of the earth. And whether in your heart, under your feet, or seen from the point of view of the zodiac, it is neutral, centered, stationary, and immovable. The earth plane has 4 cardinal directions, the 4 corners of the world, the 4 pillars, the 4 winds, the 4 horses, and so on and so forth. And for your visibility, here comes that wicked witch from the west, that corrupted Verity Virgin Virgo, and her bubbling cauldron is your heart from the transverse point of view, as above, so below. Now, this depiction is out of balance because it depicts the solar year or cardinal cross. Remember, Adam Kadmon, your proper alignment is with the ordinal cross or fixed cross, the cross of the great year. So, in order to obtain balance and kick the witch, you must align the fixed cross of your zodiac. Voila! You're in perfect alignment with your chakras. Now, beginning from your root chakra, you can see that in ancient astrology, Saturn ruled both Capricorn and Aquarius. Next is Jupiter, which rules Pisces and Sagittarius. Then Mars, who rules Aries and Scorpio. Earth takes the center stage as the plane of neutrality, and traversing above the plane shows that Venus rules Taurus and Libra, Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo, and finally the moon rules the apex at Cancer and Leo. As above, so below, as within, so without. So all of our Earths are aligned and we are in perfect harmony. And as such, we can revisit some harmonic concepts from this astonishing point of view to reveal even more in regard to harmony, frequency, and numbers in general. The Earth has always been correlated with the number 4, and Venus with the numbers 2, 5, and 8. Now notice that Taurus fixed Earth is due east and ruled by Venus. Taurus is the second house, and Venus is the second planet. 2 times 2 equals 4, or the perfect square. Now expanding on this fractal, notice that 22 times 2 equals 44, and here you have a higher fractal of the Earth. Next, we can see an example of how the hand mirror of Venus works within numbers, as 22 times 7 equals 154, and the complementary mirror reflection of 77 times 2 also equals 154. And if we reverse engineer this with 22 divided by 7, it equals an acceptable approximation of pi. And Venus's mirroring concepts continue to work on even higher numerical points of view. Take, for example, the previous number 154, multiply it by 22, and you get 3,388. And if you divide this large number by 77, it equals 44. We're back to the Earth, the twin of Venus. Even more astonishing is that Taurus hosts the star clusters of the Hyades, which is approximately 154 light years distant, and the Pleiades, which is 444 light years distant, both of them being a pair of 7 sisters. Even more profound, the Hyades is the closest star cluster along the ecliptic to our Earth, while the Big Dipper is the closest star cluster in the circumpolar region of the celestial dome to our Earth. And the 7 Rishis are associated with the Big Dipper, and their 7 wives are the Pleiades. Now look at the left side box below the ecliptic. Now, depending on which standard of tuning you use, A to the 4th octave equates to 432 hertz, 444 hertz, and or 444 hertz. Now, I'm not here to argue the finer points of whether 432, 440, or 444 hertz is the proper standard tuning or not, more than simply show you the magic within all three. Notice that 432 divided by 8 is 54, which is a reflection of 154. Notice that 528 is 44 times 12. In other words, 44, being a higher fractal of the Earth, times 12 signs of the zodiac equals the frequency of love. And the first 3 signs of the fixed cross are the 2nd, 5th, and 8th zodiac signs, which is yet another cyclic permutation of 528 hertz, the frequency of love ruled by Venus. And 25 divided by 8 equals another approximation of pi, and in fact the fraction that the Babylonians preferred to use. Ladies and gentlemen, these fractals go on forever because you are firmly nested within the master harmonic sequence, in alignment with the solar system, in alignment with your chakras, in alignment with your heart. And on the right, you'll see further harmonic sequences in relation to your chakras. Well, there is simply too much minutia to cover. I encourage you to pause the slide and study it at your own convenience. And the mathematics doesn't stop on this simple slide because the fractal continues forever. Now again, we've reached another adjustment. So at some point in antiquity, from the heliocentric model of the zodiac, it was deemed appropriate to give half of the moon's rulership to the sun. And likewise, Uranus was given rulership over Leo's corollary opposition, Aquarius. And these final adjustments reflect our contemporary astrological understanding. This alignment showcases the beautiful balancing act of the sun and moon, as the quartering signs of both sides of the ordinal cross give us every aspect of the sun and moon, yet again corroborating that you are in perfect balance on the flat, stationary plane of Earth. So let your heart pour forth its light, because it is a magnificent reflection inside and outside of you. You, yes, you, Tom Moses, you are it, and it is you. As above, so below, as within, so without. For my Coptic brothers and sisters, here are the Egypto-Christian equivalents to what you seek. And Gabriel, the angel of earth, takes Muhammad, the moon, on his night ascension to heaven. And if you're looking for a magic carpet, my friends, Look no further than the flat, stationary plane of Earth under your feet and under your seat. For you see, you are the capstone of the pyramid, and you circle your square in more ways than one. Complete the inner work of man, so I can look forward to playing with you in the Elysian fields. You can do it. I have faith in you. So we discussed your chakras and their alignment with the planets in the star-filled zodiac. Now let's travel to the edge of the stars and discuss what is beyond them. At the edge, you'll find that both the Gnostics and the Christians call this final shell the pleroma, which means the totality or fullness. And during the Renaissance, it was known as the prima mobile, first moved. Now, if you push beyond this, you'll reach the Empyrean, or what Plato called Hyper-Uranion, which means beyond heaven. And the Hindus know it as the ocean of milk, but it is the Gnostics who most appropriately called it the realm of light. And the Manichaeans, they call it the world of light. But in any way you look at it, it is the highest heaven, and it lays beyond the stars. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a realm of perfect and indescribable light, where Mahavishnu, the Paramatman, reclines and dreams of eternal heavens, where the ineffable light of God, and that is one and the same as God, permeates everything, where your soul was wrapped in the warm embrace of the Almighty One, who not only loves you, but is in love with you, where you are eternally saturated in a suspended state of unfathomable mental orgasm, and I'm not exaggerating. So look deep within yourself, use your mind to balance your heart and circle your square. And in plain speak, this means solve your internal conflicts during your search for God. And on that note, this is as far as I can take you with two-dimension depictions. Until then, my fractal friends, I look forward to seeing you in the stars.